When we think of ancient Greece, our minds often picture amazing temples on sunny hills. We see the Parthenon in Athens, a symbol of democracy and smart ideas. We remember famous thinkers like Plato and Aristotle. These are the main stories of Greek history, the well-known facts that fill our school books. But history is never just about the big buildings or the famous names. It's also like a blanket woven with threads of mystery, with stories that were whispered in dark corners instead of shouted in public places. These are the forgotten rituals and secret beliefs that offer a different, more interesting look at the past. Underneath the main Greek culture, there are layers of fascinating, less explored stories. These aren't crazy tales of ancient aliens, but reasonable ideas based on small clues and missing parts of history. They suggest that some of the most important cultural practices in Greece might have had hidden meanings or secret beginnings. These ideas are often called conspiracies, but maybe a better word is alternative histories. They challenge us to look at the evidence differently, and to ask what might have been purposely hidden or simply lost over time. Looking into these possibilities doesn't make Greece less great. It adds depth and excitement to how we understand it. What makes these ideas so interesting is that they make sense in a way. They come from things that don't quite fit in historical records or from practices that seem odd compared to what we know about Greek society. For example, why were some religious ceremonies so carefully guarded that telling their secrets could get you killed? What knowledge did special members have that was thought to be too powerful for regular people? These questions lead us down a rabbit hole of guessing, one that connects bits of old writings, things found by archaeologists, and the common human desire to form special groups that hold secret knowledge. The reason these stories stay on the edges of popular history is often because there's no clear proof. Mainstream history prefers solid evidence, writings, official papers, and sure archaeological finds. The ideas we'll explore exist in the gray area of interpretation. They rely on connecting different pieces of a puzzle, making educated guesses about what's missing. Yet it's in this very uncertainty that the excitement lies. It allows us to become history detectives, putting together a version of the past that is richer, more complex, and far more mysterious than the one we were taught in school. One of the deepest mysteries in Greek culture is about the Eleusinian Mysteries. This was a yearly special ceremony for the group that worshipped Demeter and Persephone. For almost 2,000 years, people from all over the Greek world came to Eleusis to take part. We know that the rituals promised a kind of spiritual understanding and a better life after death. However, the exact details of what happened during the ceremony were a closely guarded secret. Participants promised to stay silent, and the punishment for breaking that promise was death. This secrecy itself has caused endless guessing about what they experienced. The most believable idea suggests the participants drank a special liquid called the kykeon. This drink, made from barley and mint, might have had a fungus called ergot in it, which grows on grain and can make you see things, similar to LSD. This would explain the powerful, life-changing visions that people reported. It suggests the spiritual new beginning they felt wasn't just symbolic, but was caused by a strong chemical substance. This wasn't just a religious ceremony, it was a carefully managed experience that changed their minds, a secret agreement to protect a sacred and powerful way of thinking. Another interesting part of hidden Greek culture involves the Orphics. This was a religious group that had beliefs quite different from the main Olympian religion. The Orphics followed the teachings of the mythical poet Orpheus. They believed in reincarnation, the idea that the soul is stuck in a cycle of being born again and again. Their goal was to make the soul pure through a secret way of life and special rituals to escape this cycle and become divine. This idea of reincarnation was not a common belief in main Greek thought, which makes its beginnings a puzzling mystery for historians to look into. The Orphics had secret writings, known as the Orphic gold tablets. These were thin pieces of gold with instructions for the soul of someone who had died. They were buried with the special members and acted as a guide for their journey in the underworld. These tablets told the soul which paths to take and what to say to the gods of the underworld to make sure they had a good existence. The fact that these secret passes to the afterlife existed points to a hidden spiritual tradition, one that worked alongside the public religion of the gods on Mount Olympus. It was a private faith for those looking for answers beyond regular worship. The rise of Greek culture didn't happen by itself. It came about when the ancient civilization of Egypt was starting its long decline. For centuries, Egypt had been a source of knowledge with advanced understanding of building, medicine, and spirituality. As Greek traders and thinkers began to travel, they naturally came across this ancient wisdom. A convincing idea suggests that much of early Greek philosophy and religion wasn't entirely new, but was heavily influenced by secret knowledge that was borrowed or passed down from Egyptian priests. This idea is believable because the Greeks themselves openly admired Egyptian culture. The historian Herodotus wrote a lot about Egypt, pointing out the similarities between Greek and Egyptian gods. Many important Greek thinkers, including the philosopher Plato and the mathematician Pythagoras, were said to have studied in Egypt. The idea is that they didn't just learn about pyramids and hieroglyphs, they were likely brought into Egyptian mystery schools, secret groups that kept hidden knowledge about the universe, the soul, and what reality is. This hidden knowledge then became the start for some of Greece's deepest philosophical traditions. The similarities are striking. For example, the Egyptian idea of the soul being judged after death, as described in the Book of the Dead, has strong echoes in later Greek beliefs, especially within Orphism and Plato's ideas. The idea of weighing the soul's actions on a scale is one such similarity. It's possible that as the power of the Egyptian priests faded, some of their secret teachings were passed on to a new rising culture, the Greeks. This transfer of knowledge wouldn't have been a public announcement but a quiet exchange between special, high-ranking people, a secret agreement to keep knowledge alive. This idea helps explain some of the sudden big jumps in Greek thought. It suggests that the Greeks weren't just brilliant inventors but also skilled at combining things. They took the ancient mystical wisdom of Egypt and reshaped it using logic and reason, making it their own. The secret societies of Greece, like the Eleusinian Mysteries or the Pythagorean Brotherhood, may have been the very ways through which this Egyptian knowledge was changed and spread. This makes the connection between these two great civilizations not just about trade, but a deep, secret transfer of culture and spiritual makeup. These hidden histories and cultural secrets matter because they challenge how we see the past as a finished and fully understood story. They remind us that history is a living area of study, full of gaps and unclear parts that invite us to wonder. The idea that respected Greek rituals might have involved mind-altering substances, or that Greek philosophy started with secret Egyptian teachings, adds an exciting layer of interest to a subject that can sometimes feel boring and academic. It changes historical figures from marble statues into real people who dealt with deep and sometimes dangerous ideas. Exploring these ideas encourages us to think more carefully about historical sources. It forces us to ask who wrote the history we read and what might have been left out, either by accident or on purpose. Those in power often control the story, and the stories of secret or fringe groups are easily lost. By looking for the whispers in the margins of official records, we get a more fair and complete view of the past. We learn that cultures are not all the same. They are a lively mix of public traditions and private beliefs, of accepted facts and hidden possibilities that exist just beyond our reach. Ultimately, these mysteries make history more exciting. They spark our imagination and connect us to the past on a more human level. The ancient Greeks weren't just building temples, they were searching for meaning, for ways to understand their place in the universe and to overcome their fear of death. The secrecy around the Eleusinian Mysteries or the Orphic groups shows how much power they believed these ideas held. They were secrets worth protecting, knowledge that could completely change a person's life. This sense of wonder is what draws many of us to history in the first place. The search for answers to these historical puzzles continues to this day. Archaeologists, historians, and experts in ancient Greece continue to find new evidence that sheds light on these ancient secrets. While we may never have clear proof for some of these ideas, the search itself is valuable. It keeps the story of ancient Greece alive, not as a finished chapter in a textbook, but as an ongoing investigation full of surprise and discovery. These hidden secrets ensure that the ancient world will always have new stories to tell us, if we are only willing to listen closely.